We're here about to talk about one of my favorite topics, cold immersion, and what you're doing at Morozko. They look amazing, they're beautiful, and they're state-of-the-art. But right now, we're just going to talk generally about cold immersion and what you're doing with your nonprofits and your give back. So where do you want to begin?
Yeah, my name is Jason Stoffer. I'm co-founder, president, and CEO of Morozko Forge.
My name is Adrienne and I am co-founder and vice president of marketing for Morozko Forge. I am also the creator of the Morozko method, which is a sensory immersive mindful meditation for helping you learn how to move through the stress response with a calm mindset.
It really was an invention of necessity for us. We didn't have in our mind that we were going to start a company or offer a product. We didn't even really understand that we would end up kind of on the tip of a wave with people waking up and remembering and experiencing deliberate cold exposure for such a myriad different health outcomes and optimization benefits and everything like that. Adrienne was sick. She had some autoimmune conditions that she developed in her early 30s that didn't make sense to me, at least from the diagnoses and the pharmaceutical prescriptions that she was getting from her doctors, because I was working as a business analyst in the pharmaceutical industry.
I was at my wit's end with illness, and I could not figure out what was wrong. And no matter what I did in modern medicine, I kept getting worse.
That gets into how we started taking our own health and wellness into our own hands and figuring out what was working for our health and wellness. And that got into environmental exposure. And it didn't start with cold immersion. It started a little bit with hot immersion because we were in Phoenix, Arizona, and the discovery preceded the understanding. All we knew is we got in the cold and we felt like all of our systems reset and come alive. And we wanted to be able to do that more often. I, as a combat veteran, was experiencing better mindset outcomes, better health outcomes. And we want to be able to do it without going to the store for 200-300 pounds of ice and getting one ice bath a week. So I just started tearing apart refrigerators in the backyard. Like, how can I tear this machine apart and make a new machine? Come back 3 days later and I've got an all-the-time ice bath.
That's an awesome story. You really gotten into the health and wellness aspect of it.
I did, and it wasn't because I like the cold. I think the most common misconception when people hear that this is what I did to reverse autoimmune, they're like, oh, but I don't like the cold. Well, let me tell you, neither do I. 6 years into this practice, I still prefer the heat. So when Jason had this idea that we're just going to pull this trough, this horse trough into the backyard, fill it with a bunch of ice, and take our own ice bath, I thought he was absolutely out of his mind. Not only that, I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which means that my body had difficulty regulating itself against external temperatures. When he set it up in the backyard and we all tried it for the first time, I had no idea what I was doing, and I dropped myself into the water and held my breath. Turns out, in freezing cold water, that lasted about 9 seconds, and then I leapt out and I freaked out, and there were two things that happened immediately after that 9-second exposure to ice cold water. The first was that the chronic pain in my legs that I carried with me for more than a decade, that nothing would touch, not pain pills, not acupuncture, not massage, it was gone. The other thing that happened right away was I felt this sense of empowerment. Like, I did that. Here at my wit's end with illness, where I can't do half of the things I want to do, I said, I'm definitely going to do this again. Not today, but I'm definitely going to do this again. And so in less than 2 years of adopting this practice, I reversed all trace of autoimmune from my system. I went into my endocrinologist after 2 years. When I went into her, it had been about 3 or 4 months since I'd had any prescription medication, but I didn't tell her. I just wanted her to read my results and tell me how that looked. And when she said, everything's within range, you're doing great, I want to keep everything as is, I said, that's fantastic, because I'm not taking any medication. And so what I've done ever since then is shout the healing benefits of the cold from the rooftops. I take it upon myself to tell anyone who will listen that there is alternative healing out there. All we have to do is go back to the natural modalities that we have access to.
Why cold immersion? What are the health benefits, both physically and mentally?
The first and number one thing that it works on is your mindset. And I believe in the power of the human mind when it's focused. Our human minds are amazing, and they have amazing abilities to zero in on whatever's going on in our body and to reverse it. And I believe that that's why we see so much disease reversal with this practice, is because the first thing it does is it relieves, even if only for a day or for a few hours, it relieves that cognitive load from the human.
And part of what is happening in the brain when that's happening is after about 30 to 45 seconds, when you're submerged in freezing water, your brain is smoothing over hardwired neural pathways formed from a state of trauma and reforming tens of thousands of new neural pathways from this place of meditative calm. Your body is going to experience a complete lymphatic flush, which is really important for anyone who is working through any disease state or any recovery. It's helping you remove the toxins that are stored in your lymph.
Especially in those colder temperatures that we like, the ice bath, stimulating the vagus nerve, which can trigger the fight or flight response. There's a space between stimulus and response. And when we can navigate that space, we understand that we can choose our response.
You can also see other benefits like hormone regulation, which is really important for women. This is really important for men at middle age when their testosterone starts dropping. So testosterone production is one of the most incredible things we do. And we see so many men and women put on supplemental testosterone. Why do we need a supplement when deliberate cold exposure does it for free and naturally? So instead of being on a synthetic testosterone, you could use deliberate cold exposure to help increase and boost your testosterone.
Like to move into the technical machine aspect of this unit. What is happening? How is it built? What did your genius create?
The first one was me tearing apart refrigerators and repurposing that. And that was the evolution of the iteration of the product forward into what it is today, which is a beautiful machine with a stainless steel tub and an integrated refrigeration system, which allows us to pull the thermal energy directly out of the water and dissipate it to the environment. And we've done a really good job on the disinfection and thermal dynamics to make them really cold and really clear and really pure.
You guys work a lot with give back, right? It's not just a business, but also making sure that people have the tools to heal themselves.
When we got into this, we were solving our own health and wellness problems. And so what was interesting is finding organizations. A lot of them reached out to us as the culture grew, and we would get info emails. Hey, we're a sober living facility. We're a veteran-facing PTSD gym in Texas. And finding the opportunities to bring the culture there. And it's not just the deliberate cold exposure, it's the breath work, it's the mindfulness, it's the meditation, it's these things. But it's always been something that we've held as important to bring that medicine to those who may not otherwise experience it or pick up on it. How can we bring that? Because it is ultimately about the healing, and it's about how we can, no matter where we start in our lives, how can we experience better outcomes?
There's a tremendous amount of authenticity just emanating from you two, and sort of the story of this business and your why is so clear, like your mission aligned 100%. And I feel it embodied in what you're doing. So thank you.